Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Running Podcast. Myself, Sean Gaffney. Pete can't make it tonight because it's the good old school holidays and stuff, and he's having a wee night with the family. And I've got this amazing guest on. His name is Mr. Logan Rees. A lot of you in the running community will know his name. Logan has been in the sport for decades. Well, he's not that old. He's been in this sport since he's been a young boy, and he's had a great career from running in Scotland, winning national titles, and then going over to America. And then he recently came back and ran the Loch Ness 10K and then broke the record there as well. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of interesting stories and knowledge out of Logan tonight. So, Logan, thank you for coming on. And first of all, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to have a good chat. Thanks for having me. Like I said, sorry it's been a wee while in the making, but yeah, good to be here now.
Right. And I like the well, you can't really see my moustache because it's quite dark, but I can see yours and it's a great tash. So it is.
Well, I've got the lighting all set up perfectly, so it looks its best.
Brilliant. And yeah, like I said, thank you for very much for coming on. And let's just get right into it. So your running career, though, I checked out your power of 10 before we go on tonight. You've been running since you've been like for Fife AC, since you've been like an under 11, and you've been
Yeah.
all the way through to now. So I always ask my guests when they question how did your running career start? But how did you get into Fife AC? Was it a family member or was it a friend or
It was my big sister. So there's I'm living in Crail in the East Nuke, and there was a race called the East Nuke Primary Schools 1K. 1K? Yeah, 1K. And my sister, I think we were just healthy kids, obviously a bit of talent as well with my sister, and she won that, in primary five, and then was sort of encouraged to join a local club, and Fife was the one that had the, it was very close by and had a good junior setup and stuff. So she started going along to that, and then I followed because I just wanted to do what she was doing, I guess, and then we've all followed. So I got two wee brothers as well, and then we all just kind of progressed through it as well. So my sister kind of got us all into it, obviously with the support of our mum and dad as well. But yeah, being a family thing, so that kind of made it easy to stick at.
oh nice. And was there as you get through the junior ranks, there's quite a lot of competition between you, your sister, and your brothers as well.
There was, I mean, we're all relatively similar in age, and then my sister being the oldest was good for her because she was the fastest for a long time. And then the three of us brothers have been pretty. I mean, I've lost out to Tristan, the next youngest, by a couple times, twice, I think. And then yeah, we've all had our kind of our successes in the sport. So I think yeah, it's been pretty epic having basically a training group that's just a family, and we can do that wherever we are and stuff. So yeah, it's been great.
Brilliant. And obviously you wouldn't be racing again. You'd be training with your sister at times, but you wouldn't be racing against her. But you and Tristan, what was it like on the morning of a race? Was it like you didn't talk to each other and you sabotaged his racing spikes?
No, it was always good. I think there was never an occasion where it was any kind of animosity. It was always just because we're part of the same team. Yeah, it was always just kind of like wanting the best for each other, and then the few occasions that he got the better of me, it was sort of like those are some pretty big races. He beat me at National Cross once. I think we were fourth and fifth, and he beat me at a British champs, and we were third and fourth. So he got he got the last medal. So like that one, very happy for him. But coming fourth is never fun. But yeah, I think just the three, the four of us all being there together, all running for Fife, and then on a few occasions we had three of us on the same day running for Scotland. I don't think we ever had all four of us, but I think three times we had three of us. So that was pretty special.
Yeah, that's
All four of
amazing.
us would have been pretty magic, and that
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen now. So that one we missed out on that one, but three out of four a couple of times was pretty cool.
That is actually pretty awesome. Those three fella, your parents must have been very, very proud having the
I
three
think
kids in
so.
the school.
Yeah, yeah.
And was that for cross country or was it at hill running or
I think one of the times we had the three of us brothers for hill running. And then, I mean, these are a good while away now, but we had cross country one time as well with my big sister, then me and Tristan. So yeah, across different disciplines, which was cool. Um, yeah, those are really some really special days. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, checking at the Power of 10, you were seeing, there was like the Ben Lomond race, etc., and then obviously some hill races as well. So, what made you get into running? Is where you're from? Is it quite a hilly area, or is it just something you're interested in?
Hill running, I don't know. It's just is well, we're from Crail, which is right on the coast, so you have to travel a wee bit of a distance to get to some hills. The biggest ones nearby are the Lomans in kind of central North Fife, and
Yeah,
they're big hills, but they're not up in the Highlands or anything, so they're not proper big ones, but they're steep enough. I think it just kind of came about. Hill running just kind of came about for us, well, for me, but also just for us as a family, as a thing that was just the kind of most enjoyable discipline of running, and none of us, at least initially, were that into track or that fond of track, at least. So it was just like, you've got the cross country, which is obviously a big thing through the winter, and then for a lot of people, and then you kind of can go your separate ways in the summer, and we just kind of went the way of going up and down hills, and that was, I think, still, I don't do it, well, I say as much, but probably at all anymore. I'd be tempted by a few, but that's probably still what I think is the most enjoyable form of racing, of running in general. So
yeah,
great for a junior. It's like that's you just throw yourself down a hill, you run up. It's like that's just pure fun, and I think so. That was a really good thing to do as juniors.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I never did any hill running. I came into running when I was like 15, 16, so I kind of missed out.
Yeah.
I was just kind of told straight into track, etc. But no, it maybe it is one I will need to try when my leg gets better, etc.
Yes.
Uh, but like you said about the track there, I can see that, from the Power of 10, it's like 1,500 meter PB on Power of 10. It says 4:46, but then
Yeah.
your 3K is 8:16. So you've already smashed your PB twice in that 8:16 race.
I think I've smashed. I've beaten it even over a 10K. So um, I'm kind of proud of how bad that. Well, it's not bad. It's just it wasn't particularly good even for my age. But I've just not done one since I don't even know when that is.
Let me see here.
2013 maybe.
2012.
And 12. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't have any intention of doing one for. I think it'd be nice to have like a really good set of PBs that I'm really proud of, and then there's one that's just like, oh, what's happened there, and just I might as well keep that 440, whatever it is. I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because you look at, all these, 224 marathon, etc., and that as well, and it's like people who people looking at you, they'll go like 4:46. How is this? Did they get injured that day or whatever?
Yeah,
I think that's quite a funny one to put in. They just keep it in there.
yeah, I'll keep it.
Even if you do a 1,500 meter race, just be like, no, no, disqualify me. I punched that
Yeah,
guy. Let
get it
disqualify.
stricken off. Yeah,
No, that's brilliant. But no, like you said, you've kind of went towards the hills and the cross country and stuff. And you ran for Scotland at the hills.
yeah, good number of times. That's the thing. You get really kind of you get great opportunities running the hills because there's a bunch of kind of representation stuff you can do. There's British champs I did a number of times, but then also there's European Youth Cup, which when I did it, I went to France. Then I was selected for the one in Italy, but I got hurt a couple of weeks before that, so I didn't go. But you get to go on these great trips and go to some amazing places that I just don't think you get as a as a runner, that's kind of more into the other disciplines. It's just like places where there's big hills are kind of pretty nice and pretty beautiful. So like to get to go there has been, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
something that's definitely great with it. Yeah,
Right. There's a guy in our club, Andrew Douglas. He's the world mountain champion at ever. And
yeah,
whenever years ago in our club, guys were saying, no, I'm going to go and try and get the marathon time. I'm going to try and get my 5K time, to qualify for the UK final. And he was just like, I'm going to go to the mountains. And everyone thought, all
yeah,
right, okay. And he's just never looked back since. But some of the places, you know,
yeah.
like he
He's been
posts
all
his
over.
Instagram, it's like, wow, like he's there.
Yeah,
for mountain running. It just looks incredible, and it
Yeah,
does look hard though. It does. It
yeah,
does look very hard.
yeah. No, he's done great with that.
Have you
Yeah,
ever been tempted by the mountain scene?
as a kind of as a senior or just
Uh, maybe, as a senior, since you're a senior now.
I think, I mean, it was probably my priority as a junior, maybe until I was about 18, 19. And yeah, and I loved it and I still do, but I think just I don't really know. I didn't really make a kind of conscious decision to stop doing hills or anything. I think just as I improved over other disciplines, notably cross country and road, basically, I kind of the calendar's just so full, and then
Yeah.
other races just take the place, and um, yeah, it wasn't a kind of big decision I made. It just sort of happened, but it's always kind of been on the back burner that there is this other, essentially another discipline of running that I've not really dipped back into, and I can always make a return to, and I think I will, and that's something I'm kind of excited about in the future for sure. But at the moment, I've kind of got more short term kind of specific goals that are basically concentrated on
Yeah.
on the track actually, which is kind of I hate to say that because that's kind of what I've kind of raged against growing up and stuff. But the track is and to a lesser extent the road and cross country as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, basically running times, which isn't very exciting. But that's where my kind of short term ambition is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to be talking about just now. Your 10K time, 28:14, which is absolutely flying. So, talk us through that race. Was that wait, when was that a race? You were clearly targeting, but during that race, how did you feel? Did you get through halfway and just feel that this is on today, or were you just kind of you had no idea until you crossed the finish line?
Yeah, good question. I think so. That was actually a good ways away now. It was 2023, and I'd come off of a pretty good spring, so I kind of knew I was fit. Um, I did a 10K maybe 12 weeks before that I think around 28:20 something. And then just basically was like, okay, I've had a really good winter of distance and big volume, but I just need to get quicker, and that's kind of always been my issue is trying to get quicker over the shorter distances. So like we had a really good sort of 10 weeks of just quick stuff going into this 10K in Portland, which is it's a pretty big race, I guess. It's a big meet at least. The 10K is probably not the best of them, but the 1500 there is probably the best 1500 in the world outside of like major champs and then diamond leagues. It's up there with some of the best, a lot of Olympians and that. So 10K is a bit lesser, but yeah, I think the pacer was on. We went through 5K in about 13:55, and I remember thinking like, well, that's a PB, and you
Wow.
know,
Wow.
didn't really and didn't really think anything of it. I was like, well, we're still just kind of rolling in this group. But from then the pacer dropped off, and we had I think maybe four or five of us that were kind of like a bit shy to take the lead because they're still a good ways away from the finish, and then we kind of didn't sit on it for a few laps, but just sort of the pace slackened a bit, and some of us just had to take it on, and we did. But just as that front group actually we were the chase group then, like that group got smaller and smaller, it became harder and harder to hold the pace, and eventually we were kind of running essentially solo, but sort of 10 meters between all of us, and like so the pace just dropped off, which I think if going into that having ran 28:20, I think low a couple months before, I was like, well, my ambition there was to go into 28 and going through halfway on pace, and then to not have done that and actually come quite a ways away from that, 15 seconds short, was quite a disappointment. But I think it's still my PB. It was a good race, and I think I couldn't really have done much different in the condition. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can do without a pacer that takes you to 9.5K. Like
Yeah,
that's an ideal and kind of impossibility. You're going to have to take it on at some point. And yeah, I just sort of suffered a bit in those final couple K, but still happy with it. It's
yeah,
still my PB, so I can't really
yeah.
complain. Yeah.
It's a great PB. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. And then you never know. Never say never. You could be getting that sub 28 at some point. You just don't know.
Well, that's kind of my big goal. Like there's a few things that I've kind of set out to do in running, and that's one of them. And that's always going to be there. And I kind of like the purity of that. There's no argument. There's no like, oh, it's a down year or whatever. It's like you either do it or you don't. And so
Yeah,
I think I'm going to keep doing that until I can't run, and keep chasing that until I can't. So hopefully, I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it would be great if you had it next to your name. Logan Rees, 10K, 27:50 something.
Yeah,
Could-
27XX. That's all. That's
yeah,
all I need.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And like you're saying, that race is in Portland. So and then, but also talk about America. No, you went to America,
Yeah.
and was that on a scholarship?
It was. Yeah. Kind of in high school, I was aware of people going across to America for their undergrad. But I wasn't really the standard, but also had more of a focus on hill running. You're not going to get a hill running scholarship um, straight out of high school. So did my undergrad in Scotland, and kind of during my time in my undergrad, I kind of got to the level, I think, where universities were kind of taking a bit of an interest, and so went for grad school. Boise State in Idaho, which was, I don't really know why I chose it, but um, the place I think was the biggest part of it, just where the city is and kind of the surroundings. Yeah, it's just an awesome place to train and study, but also just to live. So that was that was where I first went in America.
Nice one. And then, so then that was undergrad. So where did you go for the grad school?
No, so I did my undergrad in Scotland.
Oh, undergrad in Scotland. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry for confusion. And then, so 4 years in Scotland in Edinburgh, and then did a 2-year master's in Boise State in Boise, and then did a 1-year kind of certificate that was added on onto the end of that. So I was studying in America for 3 years, and then I've been working the last 2 years there as well. So
Brilliant.
5 years total. Yeah.
Oh, a long time. And and is there your time in America, going with like training and racing, is there a big kind of contrast between that and Scotland in terms of, the way they train, the way they race?
I don't know about the training. Definitely the racing is very different. The race culture, both on the collegiate scene, so in university, is very different, and then the post collegiate scene as well. So in university, it's very, very much, and I think I really enjoyed this aspect of it, is very much more about the team element, especially in cross country, where like you're kind of part of this. Your individual performance is obviously important to you as an individual, and the coaches and everyone appreciates that as well. But like, what matters the most is your team finish, and I think getting my head around that was a very different thing, because like I think as much as team races are important in Scotland, it's not like it's probably not the top of the tree in terms of like that's the biggest result. It's more about the individual, I think, here. So it's you kind of play your role in a team in America more than here, where it's like if you can be even if you're the fifth counter or whatever, it's like that's still important. Or even if you're not a counter for your team but bumping other points off of teams, it's like that is really hyped up, and that kind of bleeds through into the culture of the team, and then that affects how you train. Like you train as a group way more, and there's not the same culture of like trying to snipe your mate on the last rep or something. It's like, well, we get through this together, and then we can replicate that in races. And you kind of, even in the race, you're sticking together, and you kind of race as a unit, and you've got 3 or 4 mates just around you, and then obviously final 2K or whatever, things change, but like you spend a good chunk of the race just sort of like in your pack. And I think that it's just part of having a lot of good runners all together. That means that all the teams are really good, and so you can do that. But That's a very different thing here, where you're kind of, well, it's not every man for himself. Like, you're still going to be, you're going to help out your teammates where you can, but it's just not the same sort of driving factor to make that the priority, I don't think. Racing schedule is different as well. Far fewer races. Especially in the cross country scene, it's like if you race every race that's kind of presented to you, you're probably only going to race 4 or 5 times in the season. Which, like, you do a lot of training, you kind of want to show something for it, and I don't really think you can with that few. So whereas here you can race, every weekend, and the season's longer, especially in cross country as well. So I think I prefer that aspect here. And that kind of racing very infrequently, that's kind of taken to the extreme, at least in my experience. This might not be a universal one, but post-collegiately, so when I graduated but was still living in America, just the racing opportunities aren't there, basically, especially for kind of, someone of my standard. Is like, you're not on some sort of professional circuit with people flying you to races and stuff. Like, you're making your own way there, and just America's so big that, like, you need to fly to do a fast race, basically, or you need to go a long ways, and like that's money, and that's time off of work and everything. So, like, just by that, and then also just fewer races generally, I think you just have to be far more specific in where you want to race and what they are going to be. So, like, in my time in America, when I was just working, I was racing probably on average every 5 months or something, which just wasn't great, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at that, cross country over here, you can race, like you said, every weekend if you want to.
Yeah, well, I've been back 3 weeks and I've raced 3 times. So
There you go.
already,
There you go.
you know.
That is wild. So, like, so that's like obviously collegiate and post collegiate. But in America, is there no Scotland, the UK have got an outstanding, club scene.
Yeah.
Is there like a club scene in America, or is it kind of mainly focused towards the kind of collegiate scene?
It's definitely mainly focused towards the collegiate, and there is a big drop off in participation after that. But there is a club scene. It's not as extensive as here, and it's not as kind of, like I've been a member of Fife for a very long time, and I'll always be a member of Fife, and I'll always run for Fife. But, like, there's not the same kind of progression through, like, a junior section all the way through into your adult years in America, because, like, a lot of the running is done through educational institutes. So, like, you'll be running for your high school, and then you join a collegiate team until, those are separate, because you could be different states, halfway across the country. So, like, there's not that same sort of hold that kind of keeps you to a place, and keeps you to a team. So, like, there are clubs, but they're not as, you won't have people who are part of the same club for 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I could have just not found these things, and I could have, even with the racing schedule, it's like maybe there was a race every weekend and I just wasn't looking in the right place. But, like, my experience of it was that I had to travel quite far and pay a lot of money and race not very much, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just wild.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that. But it clearly, that improves you as well, because your times, that 28, 14, etc. It's insane. Would you say there was a performance during your, when you were racing for your, post collegiate collegiate team in America? Was
Mm-hmm.
there a certain performance where you thought, I've made a breakthrough here in your running, where you felt, I can really, if I ever go back to Scotland, I'll be, Scottish champion?
Good question. I think what I've not mentioned actually was my time in America was basically, not dominated, but was affected a lot by an injury, and then a surgery, and then the comeback from that. And so, like, what was quite a simple surgery kind of actually took me, with a complication of COVID sort of being put in the middle there, like, it slowed up access to kind of medical care and stuff, meant that, like, I really wasn't very fit for a good chunk of my time there. And so to kind of come through that, and then, I felt like I wasn't really getting the most out of my time there because of all this kind of injury stuff. And so when I finally got through that and was running again, and then getting fit and making the most of all the facilities and the locations and the high quality races and stuff. And so I think when I got to there, and that was probably my best 10K I did for the collegiate team was in LA, and that was in 2022. Yeah, 2022. And that was my first PB in 5 or 6 years. So like to have done that was like, okay, well, now I've kind of got to the point where I might have got if I hadn't got injured 4 years ago or whatever. So the race in LA, 28:45 I ran. And yeah, before that my PB was 29:30 odd. So that was a bit of a jump, like on paper, but really that was, my progression had been kind of halted by a bunch of injury cycles and stuff. So yeah, that was the race where I was like, okay, like this is where I should have been. This is back to kind of progressing in the sport. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 45-second PB. That's well.
Yeah.
I would kill for that. I would kill for that. I would kill just to see 2:09. Oh my god, that'd be incredible. But but no, I still get my head around that. At 28:14, it's quite insane. I don't know. I don't actually know if anyone in Scotland just now has ran faster. I don't know.
I think I'm just about in the top 10. Well, Butchhart's got the record still.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a good number of 5 or 6 of them are kind of from the 80s,
Yeah.
which is crazy. It's just amazing.
One of my old coaches, Laurie Spence, he's the 28:11. So
and then Ian Stewart had the record before Butchart, I think. That's
yeah,
2740 or something in 50 years ago, which is terrifying. But like I think there's a good number of us actively running in Scotland that are in the kind of window of like 28:15 say to like 29:15, which is like a pretty that's a pretty big kind of number of us that are kind of there, which is really exciting. And it's like you can look back at these crazy guys from whenever years ago that were doing amazing stuff, but like I think it's a pretty good scene at the moment over the 10K, which is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Scotland in general is just
Yeah.
we seem to be really, punching well above our weight, like,
Yes, definitely.
and almost every distance, apart from the sprints, we've not produced any. Well, the 400 meters, we've had a couple of
Yeah.
like girls and guys and stuff who've went on to GB teams that, but 100 meters, 200 meters, we've not quite produced a world champion yet, but I'm sure they'll get there at some point. So obviously your time in America, you ran your PBs, and then you came back. Well, I think you came back for a visit, and
I've come back, for a few visits, yeah.
And one of those visits you won the national cross country championships at Falkirk.
Yeah.
So was that always part of your plan, or was it I'm going to be coming over, just enter me, or was it part of your plan? I want to go and win that.
I mean, that's always, winning Falkirk has always been, I couldn't say part of my plan, but part of my ambition, I think, because I just, I think I'd be silly to have said, oh, that's my plan to win that when I was, 14 coming 28th or wherever I was that age. But yeah, it was always in my thought that like, this is a race I want to win. I think, I had my last year before I left. Well, my last year running before I left. So I left to America in autumn of 2019, but I didn't really run for the year prior to that because I was hurt. And so I last raced the national in 2018 and I came fourth. And kind of, shortly after I got injured, and kind of knew that like, okay, well, if I'm going to come back, I need to make it. If I'm going to come back to running, and if I'm going to come back to Scotland, I need to make it worth it. I need to, basically, I need to podium at Falkirk to kind of progress from where I was coming forth. So like, if you're going to podium, you might as well try and win. So yeah, that was one of the ones that kind of kept me wanting to run and kept me kind of wanting to train was the thought of winning at Falkirk. Like I said about the 10K, it's like for a long time, it's like, kind of embarrassingly long because I had no right to have this as an ambition 10 years ago. But oh, like, one day if I could run 28 minutes and one day if I could win Falkirk, it's like that would be that'd be a good pair of things. And so like Falkirk was always there. I came back that year. I'd been back most Christmases, but I had my first Christmas in America, just in that winter. So like I hadn't been back for a visit, so I was like, well, I want to go back, and I might as well go back for that. And sort of line up the weeks, make sure I'm back for that. And once I knew that was going to work travel wise and work wise and stuff, I was like, well, that's a big goal. And so kind of trained pretty much exclusively for that. Didn't do it. Like I said, didn't race any cross country in America that winter. Just showed up to Falkirk with good training, basically, and it worked out. Yeah, which was
Nice one.
yeah.
And you were in good company. You had to beat Jamie Crow to win that title as well. And Jamie is certainly no slouch over the cross country
No,
or in
no.
any distance at all.
Yeah, no, he's got some impressive range and discipline as well. He's all surfaces, all distances. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we had a good race that day. Yeah, I think like that was, well, I'll be honest, I didn't even enjoy it because it was at no point was it like, oh, I'm gonna win, because we were together until 100 meters to go. So I don't think I really appreciated it until maybe not even the day after because I was too tired. But like weeks after, I was like, okay, like that was what I wanted to do, and I'm happy with that, and I still am happy. It's like I'm not the Scottish cross country champ anymore, but like I was, and
Yeah.
hope
But
to again. So I'm still, even if it were never to run again, starting tomorrow, it's like, well, I won that, and that's enough. So like it means a lot. Well, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to everyone. I think Falkirk.
mhm.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a quite a tough course as well. I remember days it was 12K cross country, but the
Yeah.
10K hurts just as much as well.
Well, it's not even 10K. It's like it's a good 10.5K. They add on some.
Yeah, I know the rascals Scottish Athletics they always do it. But I've never been in a position. Well, I've been in a couple of positions like kind of lower level races where I've won the race and I've had to dig deep, but
Mm-hmm.
to win, 10Ks or 5Ks and stuff. But I can't imagine what's in your head and how much discomfort you're in, a national championship and you've got a defending champion there and
Yeah.
you need to kick when you've got all this mud and hills in your legs. I can't even imagine how painful that was.
I think it's just like my coach was joking because it's like I would, everyone is always like, oh, I think I have the better kick, and like that's what everyone says, and like you don't actually know until you try, but like I think me and Jamie, that race, were just like kind of threw everything at each other, and there was no real moment that was like, oh, this is it. It was pretty much hard from like a long ways out. So like, yeah, it was great. It was just it was a good race, and I think I'm excited to do kind of more stuff like that again.
Yeah, definitely now that you're back in Scotland.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
want to, are you doing the national relays on Saturday?
yeah. Pretty excited. Um, we had we came pretty close, Fife, at East Relays. So yeah, we were pretty motivated for Saturday. So we'll
Uh,
see.
who won the East relay?
Central.
Central. Ah, I see. It was quite a strong team, I'm guessing then.
Well, I mean, even if Central had a really poor team, they'd be a strong team. I don't. They don't really seem to have bad days.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looked like it was a strong Central team, but it was a strong Fife team. So I think we were 13 seconds off them at the end, which is over how long's it? How long's it really? 48 minutes or whatever. Like
yeah,
that's a close race, really. So yeah, we're for the first time in a long time. There's been a really good Fife team. Well, maybe that's a bit of a disservice, but a team that has the potential to kind of podium at national events, at district events, and stuff. So yeah, we're pretty excited for Saturday. We'll see what happens.
yeah. Because that's what we're going to go into. The Fife team just now. It's looking, a very, very strong team. Likes yourself. Owen Miller. Ben Sandilands. And you Derek Gray in the past as well. So Fife just seem to keep producing.
Yeah,
Just outstanding athletes. So they're doing. There's been a few of the girls as well who've been amazing.
yeah. We've had It's been a really good women's team kind of for a good portion of the last decade or so, maybe even longer. And the men have been catching up for a good while, but I think we're kind of getting there now. And like the guys you mentioned, but then like that's a handful. But then there's you know I couldn't tell you the numbers, but there's over 10, maybe 15-ish kind of young-ish men who are running pretty seriously, which it kind of just hasn't really happened, at least in my time, which has been quite a long time. So like there's been really good juniors across the men and the women, but then the kind of drop off, particularly in the men, as people turn 20, 22, 25, whatever, and kind of move away or just stop running or whatever. But like we've got a good crop of guys who are, at least at the moment, all running well and in or around Fife kind of physically. So like we're trying to make the most of that. Before well, I can't really talk. I've been away, so I'm not blaming anyone, but
Yeah.
we're losing Reese to America at some point soon. And he's going to be a big loss. He's it's about as good as they get for Scottish juniors at the moment. So but yeah, we've got a great team, and then obviously we got gold medalists from the past couple of Paris, so like some of the best in the world, which is just amazing to kind of be around, and to be around that level of success means that helps everyone. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And like you said about the women's team as well. I think it was at the sixth stage, and I think the women's team they won it. They won
Yeah,
what was the women's four stage. I think it was. And you've got some good runners. I know Jenny Selman run for Fife as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Across the distances, yeah, it's a good club. It's I think it's just the men in the senior level is just for a variety of reasons just been lacking. But yeah, we've got it now, so we want to make the most of it, I think. And so yeah, East Relays was a good day. But yeah, excited for the rest of the season. Kind of home short course at Kirkcaldy as well, so that would be a good one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I will be good. It's quite a flat-ish course for Cody, so
yeah,
yeah,
couple ramps, but yeah,
yeah,
more grass.
yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
it'll be grand. So, but also then you look at also your power of 10. You've got a marathon PB there of 2:24. So,
yeah.
tell us about your marathon experiences.
Um, my ambition to do the marathon was based a bit on what I was saying about the American racing scene, where it's like you're not able to race every weekend, every fortnight, or whatever. So like it's a pretty big post collegiate thing in America for recent graduates to turn to the marathon, and I think they have a much bigger sort of marathon culture there, especially for the younger folk, I think. And I kind of I was attracted to the kind of romance of the marathon and of marathon training. Partly that, but then also just like, well, I can't race all that much, so I might as well have one really big goal that kind of requires a good block of training that I can just do the training efforts just as they are, just as training, and not have to kind of race and build a season around frequent racing. So the last 2 years I've ran the California International Marathon in Sacramento, so CIM. And yeah, I had two really good training blocks for them, but two not very good days themselves the last couple of years. So the first year, I mean, as probably says a lot about my ego and my enthusiasm, but as I'm sure a lot of people do, went out too fast. Went through halfway in like 65:45 or so, and then got to about 20 miles without dropping too much pace, but then just had nothing and cramping, and didn't have bottles or anything, so was just sort of carrying my gels, and my coach kind of met me at a couple spots and handed me some stuff as well. But it was just I can make all these excuses, but basically I started way too fast. Like there's no denying that. And then last year I had a similarly good block and had come off of my best summer of 10Ks and stuff, so like was pretty keen for it again. And was more conservative in my first half. I think I went through 66 flat, which I'd probably argue is still too fast. And yeah, and then okay, I mean, I had the excuse this time that then shortly after that I threw up a few times and kind of lost all my fuel. So at about mile 15, I think I was sick. But then I was like, well, I can't have two starts and two did not finishes. So I had to finish. And so I had a pretty horrendous second half split, but I finished. And yeah, didn't enjoy it, but I enjoyed the training. I really enjoyed the training for the marathon. It's kind of something that I didn't really, I did expect to, because I think I've always enjoyed, like, the long run has always been my favorite day of the week, and kind of longer sessions I really enjoy. And I like the kind of satisfaction I get from like looking at your training diary and being like, oh, I've done this many weeks at this high of a mileage or whatever it is. And, you really get that when you're doing marathon training, I think, because everything's just so big and sort of dramatic. But yeah, I need to do one again, because I think, I would like to kind of rectify that PB. But I'm pretty content at the moment with just sort of letting that sit on the back burner, and I can come back to that, and shorter stuff's the priority at the moment. But yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah. I think you're due a good experience at the marathon after.
I hope so. Third time lucky.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, here's hoping. I mean, you've got the pace. Maybe it's just a case of just maybe not going out at 65 minutes.
No, yeah, it's as simple as that. I'm sure. I think I'd like to do one very conservatively and be like, well, that's I can build from that. Whereas I think I've not done enough to be like, okay, well, that one was great, and let's do a better one next time. It's sort of just been like all or nothing into one day, and that's kind of hard mentally, I think. And I can kind of extrapolate that to my racing experience the last couple of years, where it's like, if you don't race very much, you put so much weight on one day. And so, like, as soon as if you're doing a 10K on the track and you're off by 2 seconds on a lap, you're like, well, that's it. And okay, not everyone maybe is that negative as I am, but like, it's very easy if you only race so infrequently that as soon as something starts to go wrong, then it just sort of spirals out of control and you end up having a terrible day. Whereas like, if you can do another 10K or another race, whichever distance, in 2 weeks or next week or in a month, then like, you're much more relaxed about each of those days. And I think I'm really excited to be back in Scotland and being able to do that much racing, where it's like, if last weekend wasn't great, then the next one can be better and stuff, and you don't have to wait 6 months to have another crack at it. So good to be back for that reason.
Yeah, definitely. It will only do you good as well.
Yeah.
At your next marathon. I mean, your time 2:24 is still. I'm still 20 minutes slower than you, so I'd kill for a 2:24. So.
And yeah, I didn't mean to lessen it.
No.
It was it was fine, but I just think that the difference in my half splits is just something that was, kind of comical. What with how different they were, 12-minute difference or whatever. So
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. But no, it's like you said, these things happen.
yeah,
Like I said, and like I said, you're due a good one. So,
hope so. But yeah,
so
I'm in no hurry. It's like that might be 5 years away or whatever.
yeah,
You know, it's always there. It's always
yeah,
there. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So, in terms of yourself just now, being back in Scotland, etc. So, what does a typical training week look like for you?
I don't really know at the moment because I've been racing so much. Um, but at the moment, I had a really big kind of July and August in terms of mileage, and sort of step back a bit now as we kind of getting into races and trying to get a bit quicker. So I'm sitting around 95 miles with, 2 workouts and a race. And then the last couple of weekends I've sort of done a mini workout after the race as well, just because the 4K cross is a pretty small day to kind of build your week around. So like to kind of make the most of that day as a kind of training experience as well has been good. So yeah, 2 or 3 workouts and then a decent long run. Nothing crazy. Kind of in August I was up at the 20-mile mark, but sort of mid-teens at the moment mileage, which I feel like for me is like something I can do without it. Once I'm getting up to high teens, then that's going to affect my next couple of days. Whereas like 15 miles or something is fine just to kind of do within a training week and within a race week even. So
Mhm.
yeah, nothing kind of crazy at the moment. I'm also still just sort of figuring out my kind of training routes and training like kind of setup and stuff. We don't have in my absence the track that was up at St Andrews, which is not too far away from Crail, has been shut. So I don't have a track in. I don't actually know what the closest one is, but it's not kind of just down the road anymore. It's sort of
Mhm.
a bit of a drive away. So that's not great. And as it gets increasingly dark in the mornings and at night, I don't actually, yeah, genuinely don't know what the plan's going to be, but yeah, I'm going to try and figure that out.
It will come together. Like
Yeah,
these things always do.
yeah,
But again, it's not a good time for, especially at winter when you're trying to get a new training regime underway.
yeah. Or even just somewhere that's lit is the thing where it's like somewhere it doesn't need to be a track. It just needs to be a decent loop that's got decent street lighting and isn't on a busy road.
Yeah.
But Crail's a pretty wee village, so there's not really much of a loop. And it seems a bit silly to like drive or get the bus somewhere just to run around a housing estate or something. It's like, you know, I want to find a track somewhere, but yeah, won't worry about it. It's all right.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And in terms of training, look, what is like your favorite session to do?
I like um I like the really kind of simple kind of number of repetitions times the same distance, just 10 times 1K. Like I like the simplicity of that, and I like when the volume is kind of close enough to race distance or something that you kind of feel like you're getting a good big workout out of it. But I think I've done a lot in the past of sort of like jump in between rep distances and stuff, but I think I just like the simplicity and monotony almost of just like this is what it is and you're just going to do it this many times, and maybe
Mhm.
you get quicker through the session, but maybe that's not the point anyway, and you just kind of get through it. And yeah, I like the simplicity of that.
Yeah, nice one. And just out of curiosity, when you have done 10 times a K, what kind of splits you hitting?
um I think my best I averaged was I'd have to look it up. I don't want to make up something. um I think I did 10 by K, and every 2K would increase the pace by 2 seconds, and we started at 250. So what would that get us to? 50. And then I think I didn't get any quicker than a 44. So the last, because our four were just on that. So whatever that
Wow.
is, yeah.
Wow,
But that was 18
that's
months
quick.
ago now, so we're not
Wow.
running that quick for a while. But
That is that
um,
is very, very, very quick. Wow. Uh, well, I'm impressed with your running anyway. Like I've seen your progress and your power of 10, and also seen you international winning. But that's an impressive session. I reckon I could maybe keep up with you for like one lap, and that's it. That'd be me eyeballs out.
well, I think that, a lot is said. Just like some of my best ever running days have been training. Not necessarily that session, but just I think particularly with the marathon stuff, I just had some phenomenal days where I was like, oh, I feel amazing and I could keep doing this. But then come race day, it wasn't there. And maybe I spent it all in training. And I think that's something I've kind of gotten better at as I've gotten older, is that like, well, training's just training. And, you know, you know, that's not on your power 10, like
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah,
great if it was. I'd
yeah,
have a much better power 10 but
yeah.
profile. But yeah, I think being more aware of that is something I've definitely kind of got better at, and just like, well, it's more about the week and the month and the 6 months than one special training day. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people who after me in the past maybe guilty of training, putting it all into training, but just stick to the training paces. No medals given out at training. Just
No.
stick to
Yeah.
the paces. Was it Kipchoge said he always simmers. He never boils in training. He always just simmers. And then he gets to race day
Nice.
and he goes to
That's a good
full boil.
phrase. Yeah.
So I've always tried to, well,
Try and
whenever
simmer.
yeah, yeah, try and similar. That's what I've always tried to do anyways. Not that it's worked, because but yeah. But and so obviously for the future and stuff, you want to obviously break 28 minutes for
hmm
the 10K and do a marathon. But is there any other
Yeah.
future targets you've got in mind?
Um. So yeah, the three targets I had, of which I've only done one. So before I got surgery, I wrote these. Well, this is very sounds a bit kind of pretentious of me now, but like I was like getting surgery. I was like, well, you want to make it worth it, and you want to kind of like come have something that's like, well, I'm going to work back towards this. And so um, the three things that those was winning Falkirk. So I've done that one. Um, sub 28, and then running for Great Britain. So not done those two. Um, yeah, and I don't really know, the best route to those two, because I've come close-ish to sub 28, but I've not come anywhere near running for Great Britain. So just see how the winter goes,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah. You never know. I mean, like cross country, Liverpool. You never know.
Yeah.
You're in great shape.
I hope so.
You've just ran. This is what we're going to come on to next is the Loch Ness record. Running 28:50 at this time of year.
Yeah.
Liverpool's just round the corner, so you know it could be a shout for you. I'm not your coach, but it could be a wee target for you for a GB team.
But what I like about those kind of goals is that, like, it's not like, okay, you need to win. You need to do it by this date. It's just like, if these are, really big picture things that, like, if I keep running anyway, I'm going to be working towards targets of that kind of nature. And it's like, well, it's not, you've got to do this by the end of 2024, else it's a failure. It's like, I don't know when I'm going to stop running, but it's not going to be for a wee while, I hope. So they're always going to be there, these goals, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And if you
Yeah,
keep your training consistent, etc., then
yeah, yeah. Fingers
what
crossed. All these things considered. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, but your Loch Ness 10K, you smashed the record. I think it was 28:52 you ran. And
yeah.
like you said, you came back to Scotland, you just wanted to race, and obviously that'd be fairly it's quite a is that a local race for you?
Not for me. My sister lives up in Inverness, so got to see her, which was great. She lives like, pretty much a little jog from the finish line, so that was which is close enough to the start line. So pretty nice setup to do that race. And then my sister ran as well, and her husband ran, and then my dad ran the marathon as well. So it was a whole trip.
Nice.
So that was great, and it was kind of nice just to kind of mark, just for me personally, like to come back and have something to be excited for sort of straight away and sort of kickstart my, not just from a running perspective, just my time back in Scotland. Like I'm back and I can, have fun weekends racing and,
Yeah.
and not just sort of kind of get back and start work or worry about unpacking or all this stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice to kind of just get a race under my belt straight away. And it was obviously happy with it. It's a pretty good course. It's a great place. So yeah, it was a nice weekend.
And was it a kind of like a solo run victory, or did you have people challenging you for the first bit of it or so? Or?
Um, I took off pretty quick. So I think probably most of us in the top five or so were probably solo. I don't know what was going on behind, but looking at the times at the finish, there was some pretty big gaps, even between the sort of top five. So I don't really know if anyone was running with anyone at any point. But yeah, it was, I think I have spent since I left, since I graduated from Boise State, I've been running largely on my own in terms of the sessions and stuff. Yeah. So like to race on my own is not a massive deal, and it's just a good test to sort of be like, well, this it's just me, and this is how fit I can be, and this is how fast I can run on my own. And maybe that'll be different if I'm fighting for a win or something, but I don't really know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. But did you? Was it in your mind to break the record before that race, or or was it just one of those ones that just happened?
Um. So I did that race 7 years ago. And then I had a very clear goal that I wanted to break 30. And Chris Jones was first and I was second, and I ran 30:01. And so I was obviously, and that was a PB at the time, and I was excited by that. But to have, to come that close was annoying. So like I kind of knew I wanted to go back. And, since then, my PB is such that I think I was like, oh, I could maybe have a crack at the record. And sort of, went out with that ambition. Went through halfway on pace, I think 14:20 or so. I think, 20 mid I ran. And then, so yeah, that's actually pretty even splits, which is rare for me, as evidenced by past experiences. So, kind of knew from halfway. I was like, oh yeah, I feel good, and I'll just keep at it. And then, actually, I had to kind of hold up a bit. The final couple K, I got just a bit of a stitch or something, but by then I knew, I at least had the record, and sort of under 29 would be a bit of a bonus, just because, never ran under 29 on the road before, which was nice to do. Just done that on the track a few times, so yeah, it was a nice
Yeah,
day.
yeah, definitely. It looked like a good event as well, and as
Yeah,
you see on Facebook, a lot of people posting, etc. as well.
I
And
like it when marathons have a 10K or a 5. Well, this one's got both. It's got a 5K and a 10K, but like you kind of get the hype of the setup that is required for the marathon, because like closed roads and big finish gantry and all that. But then you can just do your 10K, and like I like it. You kind of, you don't really get that when it's just a 10K on its own or a 5K on its own. It's like the marathon kind of brings that
mhm.
extra level to it, and then if you can jump on the back of that and do a shorter race, it's great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because most of your 5K, 10Ks now they're on, well, in Scotland anyway, you need to stick to, cycle paths or pavements or
Yeah,
etc. It must be quite nice to run on a closed road where you get plenty
yeah,
of space.
yeah. It was cool.
Yeah. And but it's been amazing talking to you, having on another, Scottish champion, and I think you're probably like the fastest 10K runner we've had on, I'm sure. I think they are. We had on Neil Gourley, who has ran 13:11 for 5K, but he's predominantly 1500, etc. But I think you're the fastest 10K runner that we've had on. So
I'm sure if Neil gave it a go, he'd run very
yeah,
well.
yeah. I did ask him. No, I was like, the Scottish record 1306 with Butcher. I was like, are you not tempted to go after the 5K record? He's like, not right now, but maybe in the future. I'm like, and he runs 1311 when he's
It's
trained for
close.
15,
Yeah,
so could
that's
could
the
be.
thing. If you can run 13:11, you can run. I don't know what the conversion is for a 10, but be pretty good, I bet. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But here's hoping that it doesn't do one soon. So that means you've still got the Scottish running podcast record. You've still.
The title, thank you.
Yeah, you've got it. I crown you that victory right now. And before I go ahead, so just a wee couple of fun questions, just a wee quick fire ones, just about yourself. So,
Go.
question one is, what is your favorite food? It can be in general or your favorite meal you had before a race.
I could give you both, because
Cool.
they're not the same. My favorite meal is a curry of some kind, probably a mixture of different dishes, like an Indian curry. Um, but that would not be my one before a race. That'd be a bit of a disaster, I think. Pretty like I'm pretty dialed into my race day at the moment. So, well, it's a really boring answer, but um, having porridge as like a kind of staple of the race day routine at the moment. So
Yeah,
we'll stick with that.
awesome.
Not my favorite food. That would be boring.
Plain porridge, no sugar, no
Yeah,
salt, no milk, just water and water
water
and oats.
oats. All you need.
And what's your favorite drink? It can be a soft drink or an alcoholic one, whatever it is.
Good question. I've not considered that for a while. I think if I'm going to pair it with a curry, then no, maybe I wouldn't. It's got me here. I've been enjoying. So my mum makes. Oh well, my mum and my dad make homebrew. And they do
Oh,
some
nice.
pretty good beers. So I've been having some of them since I've been back. So that's been good. Um, yeah, they do a good stout. So been enjoying that.
Oh, nice, nice. Wait, you'll need to give me a sample at the national relays then. That's
I could. I'll see what the stash looks like. Need to get permission, but
Right. I will happily pay for it. It's all good, and I'll
no, no.
then I'll promote it on the podcast. Like sponsored by Logan, well, the Reese family brew.
Yeah,
Brilliant. And what has been your favorite race or race course that you've done?
just in terms of like my race experience or like how good the race was as a course.
Both.
Both. Race course. I think race course would, you know, probably going to have to be a hill running one. So this is taking me back a bit. I mean, I raced Ben Lomond junior races. I did that a lot. That was a really good one. Um, Up and down, just looped course, which was awesome. Right on, obviously on the shores of the loch and that. So that's probably the best course I've done. Um, it's got to be a hill race, I think. I don't think I could do hill racing justice if I chose like a road race or anything like that. Race experience. I don't know. I've got I think my own like individual performances like I don't really appreciate at the time, so I probably couldn't say one like that. So it would have to be maybe a team one. Um, would be a good one. I think one year my whole family, so the four of us kids and then my two parents, we did the Devil's Burdens relay which is a 6-person relay. We did that as a family of 6.
Nice.
And so that was a pretty special day. We were doing pretty well at one point in it. But yeah, just the whole day was pretty awesome. So that would be the one. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Yeah, one with the family.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite male athlete?
Running or other sports.
It just in general. Male athlete can be running, can be whatever, any other sport.
I think, well, running wise, I think I've said this before. I think growing up in Northeast Fife, I've sort of always looked at the two runners, so Don McGregor and then Angelo Limoncello have been the two that have sort of been the, if you could do anything close to what they achieved in their careers, then that would be a kind of success. And so
Nice.
can't really escape them from Northeast Fife, but in a very good way. They're kind of a very very present inspiration for me and for a lot of other people, I think. So in the running side, that's them. Um, Other sports, I don't know. I'll maybe have to get back to you on that, but I think yeah, answer with the running, which is
Yeah,
important. Yeah,
so good, man. And next one is your favorite female athlete.
good question. I don't know actually. I think obviously being in Scotland and being in the sport of running and being the age I am, it's like there's a good crop of the women slightly older than me that have been, dominating the UK scene and then doing amazing at global events. Like Laura Muir is the most obvious one, and I think being from North Fife and then her being from Dundee, it's kind of she's been this presence on the scene for a long time, and so she's very, obviously very inspiring, but also just like I don't know her personally, but just seems very supportable. And yeah, that's kind of a great thing to have had as someone running in Scotland as a figure like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. Laura.
brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
And the last one, if you get a phobia or a pet hate at all.
Pet hate. I like to think I'm just sort of, you know, happy with how things are. I don't know.
That's cool. If that's your answer, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If a
Yeah.
happy go lucky chill guy, nothing gets to
Well, I mean, I don't think other people would describe me like that, but maybe that's an image I'm trying to get into. I don't know.
you. I'll take that as your answer. Like, I've
Okay.
not got one. Is other people like, yeah, here's my pet hate. I'm like, cool. But if you've
I
not
mean,
got
if I'm
one,
asked directly, but yeah, yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
awesome. No, it's been great talking to you. And thank you again for coming on. I
No,
really
of course,
really do appreciate it. And
of course.
then obviously good luck on Saturday, and I'll be there as
Cool.
a club captain for Inverclyde AC, and
Oh, wow.
also I'll be vlogging as well. So I'll get some good footage of you, but just don't run too fast, because I want
Right.
Inverclyde to do well too. So
You guys look like you got a good team showing up.
yeah, we've got a strong team. We've obviously not got Andrew Douglas. I think he's just been doing incredible. Like,
Yeah.
with his mountain running, kind of going all over the world and racing and winning,
Yeah. Yeah.
mountain championships and stuff. So he's also taking, like, I think it's a bit of a break, and he'll be back,
Yeah.
next month or so. But no, yeah, we still got a good strong team. But there's that many strong teams when it comes to the 4-man
Yeah.
relay. There's that many just over that short course. There's so many guys are that you know close to each other, and I'm just looking forward to just watching it, because it'll just be a really
Yeah.
exciting race. So it will.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be a good. Well, I hope it'll be a good race and a close race. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. But this has been great, and thank you for coming on, man.
No, thanks for having me.